The Nexus space station hung in the inky void like a gleaming jewel, its sleek silver curves reflecting the distant starlight. Inside, Dr. Aria Novak's heart raced as she made her final preparations. After years of theoretical models and countless simulations, humanity was about to make first contact with an entirely new form of life. Aria checked her reflection in the polished surface of a nearby console. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, but fatigued lines etched her olive skin. She straightened her crisp blue uniform, took a deep breath, and entered the specially designed containment chamber. The room was vast, dominated by a shimmering energy field that pulsed with an otherworldly light. Within it, a being of pure radiance shifted and flowed, its form in constant flux. Aria's breath caught in her throat at the sight of the lumina. "Hello," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm Dr. Aria Novak. Welcome to Nexus Station." The lumina's energy field fluctuated, creating intricate patterns that danced across the chamber. A melodic, yet clearly artificial voice echoed in Aria's mind through her neural interface. "Greetings, Aria Novak. I am designated Zephyr. Your physical form fascinates me." Aria blinked, caught off guard by the directness of the statement. "Thank you, Zephyr. Your form is quite captivating as well. Would you mind if I asked you some questions about your species?" Zephyr's energy field rippled in what Aria hoped was assent. She began with basic inquiries about lumina perception, communication, and their understanding of the universe. Zephyr's responses, filtered through the AI translator, were often cryptic, hinting at concepts that stretched the limits of human comprehension. As the interview progressed, Aria found herself drawn closer to the energy field containing Zephyr. The luminous shifting form held a hypnotic allure, patterns emerging and dissolving in mesmerizing succession. "Your species relies heavily on physical senses for information gathering," Zephyr observed. "Yet you maintain distance. Why?" Aria hesitated. "The energy field is a precautionary measure. We're not certain how direct contact between our species might affect either of us." Zephyr's form coalesced into a rough approximation of a human silhouette. "Fascinating. May we attempt contact? I wish to gather data on your physical structure directly." Warning bells sounded in Aria's mind, but scientific curiosity overpowered caution. "I suppose a brief contact couldn't hurt. But let's start small, okay?" Aria approached the energy field, her heart pounding. She extended her hand, palm out, toward Zephyr's shimmering form. The lumina extended a tendril of energy, gently brushing against Aria's fingertips. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. A jolt of electricity seemed to course through Aria's entire body. She gasped, stumbling backward as goosebumps erupted across her skin. The sensation was unlike anything she'd ever experienced, a mixture of intense physical stimulation and something deeper, more profound. "Extraordinary," Zephyr's translated voice resonated with excitement. "Your form contains such complexity, such potential for varied response. May we continue?" Aria's scientific mind warred with her instinct for self-preservation. The contact had been shocking, yes, but not painful, and the data they could gather from such interactions could revolutionize their understanding of interspecies communication. "All right," Aria agreed, her voice hoarse. "But let's take it slow. We need to document everything carefully." Over the next several hours, Zephyr explored the varying responses of Aria's body to different types of energy field interactions. Each touch sent shivers through Aria, accompanied by a kaleidoscope of sensations: tingling, warmth, pressure, even occasional flashes of color behind her closed eyelids. As the experiment progressed, Aria found herself becoming almost giddy. The constant stimulation left her feeling lightheaded, her usual reserved demeanor crumbling under the onslaught of new experiences. "Your epidermal response varies significantly depending on the location of contact," Zephyr observed, a tendril of energy tracing along Aria's forearm. "Is this common among your species?" Aria laughed, the sound echoing strangely in the chamber. "Yeah, You could say that. Some areas are more sensitive than others. Sensitive, Zephyr repeated, the translated voice taking on a curious tone. This concept intrigues me. Show me more sensitive areas. A part of Aria's mind recognized the potential impropriety of the request, but that voice was quickly drowned out by her scientific curiosity and the strange euphoria induced by Zephyr's touch. Well, Aria said, rolling up her sleeve, the inside of the elbow is particularly sensitive for many humans. Zephyr's energy field coalesced around Aria's exposed arm, focusing on the indicated area. The moment contact was made, Aria gasped. The sensation was intense, sending shivers up her spine and causing her knees to buckle slightly. Fascinating, Zephyr's voice thrummed with excitement. Your neural responses are incredibly complex. I detect increased heart rate, pupil dilation, and a flood of neurotransmitters. Is this pleasurable for you? Aria's face burned. It's intense, not unpleasant, but overwhelming. Zephyr's form pulsed rapidly. I wish to explore further. Are there other areas of heightened sensitivity? Before Aria could respond, Zephyr's energy field expanded, enveloping her entirely. The sensation was indescribable, as if every nerve ending in her body was being gently stimulated simultaneously. Aria's vision blurred, her mind reeling from the overload of sensory input. And then something extraordinary happened. The world around Aria seemed to shimmer and shift. For a brief moment, she found herself somewhere else entirely, a sun-drenched alien landscape of crystalline structures and swirling sentient gases. She recognized the scene with a jolt of realization. It was Zephyr's homeworld. As quickly as it appeared, the vision vanished. Aria found herself back in the containment chamber, gasping for breath. Zephyr's energy field had retreated, pulsing with what seemed like concern. What was that? Aria panted, her mind racing to process what she'd experienced. Zephyr's translated voice held a note of confusion. I detected a sudden spike in neural activity. Did you experience something unusual? Aria struggled to find words to describe the vision. I saw somewhere else. Your world, I think. But it felt real, like I was actually there. Zephyr's form coalesced into a tight ball of pulsing energy. Intriguing. It seems our interaction has had unexpected effects on your perception of reality. This requires further study. Still reeling from the experience, Aria nodded absently. The implications of what had just occurred were staggering. Had Zephyr's touch somehow allowed her to perceive another plane of existence? Or was it simply a vivid hallucination brought on by sensory overload? We should continue our experiments, Aria said, her scientific curiosity overriding her shock. But we need to proceed with caution, and we need to document everything meticulously. Zephyr's form rippled in what Aria interpreted as agreement. Yes, there is much to learn from each other. Your species' capacity for varied experience is remarkable. I look forward to exploring it further. As Aria began setting up more formal monitoring equipment, her mind raced with possibilities. This interaction with Zephyr had already far exceeded her wildest expectations. If mere physical contact could induce visions of other realities, what other wonders might they uncover? For the first time in years, Aria felt a spark of genuine excitement for the future. Whatever lay ahead in her research with Zephyr, she knew it would be unlike anything humanity had ever experienced before. The boundaries between alien and human, between energy and matter, between reality and imagination, all were about to be rewritten. Days passed on Nexus Station, each one bringing new discoveries and deepening the bond between Dr. Aria Novak and the Lumina ambassador Zephyr. Their sessions in the containment chamber had become the highlight of Aria's existence, filling her with a sense of wonder she hadn't experienced since her early days as a xenobiologist. Aria sat cross-legged on the floor of the chamber, her dark eyes fixed on Zephyr's shimmering form. So, your species doesn't have a concept of individual names? She asked, fascinated by every new piece of information about the Lumina. Zephyr's energy field pulsed gently, not in the way you understand them. We are all part of the greater consciousness, distinct yet united. The designation Zephyr was chosen to facilitate communication with your kind. Arya nodded, making notes on her tablet. And how do Lumina typically interact with each other? We merge our energy fields, Zephyr explained, its translated voice taking on a wistful quality. It is an exchange of thoughts, memories, and sensations, a sharing of our very essence. Arya's heart raced at the implications. That sounds incredibly intimate, she said softly. Zephyr's form shifted, tendrils of light reaching out towards her. It is. Your species' physical intimacy seems a pale reflection of our union. Yet, I find myself curious about your ways of connection. A flush crept up Arya's neck. Well, humans have many ways of forming bonds. We communicate through words, touch, shared experiences. Some connections are fleeting, others last a lifetime. And which kind of connection do you seek, Arya Novak? Zephyr asked, its energy field flickering with what Arya had come to recognize as intense curiosity. The question caught Arya off guard. She'd been so focused on the scientific aspects of their interactions that she hadn't allowed herself to consider the deeper implications. I'm not sure, she admitted. This is all new territory for me. Zephyr's form condensed, moving closer to Arya. Perhaps we could explore together. I wish to understand the full spectrum of human experience. Arya's breath caught in her throat. The rational part of her mind screamed that this was crossing a line, that she needed to maintain professional distance. But another part, a part that had been awakened by her encounters with Zephyr, yearned for more. Okay, she whispered, extending her hand towards the energy field. Show me how Lumina connect. Zephyr's energy enveloped Arya's hand, then slowly spread up her arm. The sensation was different this time, less shocking, more of a warm tingling that sent pleasant shivers through her body. As the energy field expanded to surround her completely, Arya closed her eyes, giving herself over to the experience. Suddenly, she wasn't in the containment chamber anymore. She was everywhere and nowhere, her consciousness expanding beyond the confines of her physical form. She felt Zephyr's presence, not as a separate entity, but as part of herself. Emotions, memories, and sensations that were not her own flooded her mind. She saw the birth of stars through Zephyr's perception, felt the joy of riding solar winds, experienced the vast, timeless existence of an energy being. In turn, she shared the exhilaration of her first space flight, the taste of her favorite meal, the warmth of a loved one's embrace. When Arya opened her eyes, she found herself back in the chamber, tears streaming down her face. Zephyr's energy field pulsed rapidly, mirroring her own racing heart. That was. Arya struggled to find words adequate to describe the experience. Profound, Zephyr finished for her. I had not anticipated the depth of human emotion. Your species feels so intensely, so vividly. It is beautiful. Arya wiped her eyes, a smile spreading across her face. Your existence is incredible, Zephyr. I've never felt so, connected to something greater than myself. As the days went on, Arya and Zephyr continued to explore the boundaries of their unique connection. They shared stories of their respective cultures, finding surprising similarities and fascinating differences. Arya taught Zephyr about human art, music, and literature, while Zephyr shared the cosmic harmonies of Lumina energy patterns. Their growing bond didn't go unnoticed by the rest of the station's crew. Dr. Marcus Reeves, the lead physicist on the project, pulled Arya aside after a particularly long session with Zephyr. Arya, I'm concerned, Marcus said, his brow furrowed. You're spending an awful lot of time with the Lumina. Are you sure you're maintaining proper scientific distance? Arya bristled at the implication. I'm doing my job, Marcus. We're making unprecedented breakthroughs in interspecies communication. Isn't that what we're here for? Marcus sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. Of course it is, but there have been some anomalies. Power fluctuations, unexplained equipment malfunctions. Some of the crew are getting nervous. Correlation doesn't equal causation, Aria retorted. We're pushing the boundaries of known science here. Some hiccups are to be expected. Marcus held up his hands in a placating gesture. I know. Just be careful, okay? We're in uncharted territory, and we don't fully understand the implications of prolonged exposure to the luminous energy field. Aria nodded, if only to end the conversation. She knew Marcus meant well, but he couldn't understand what she was experiencing with Zephyr. It was more than just scientific discovery. It was a meeting of minds, a fusion of two fundamentally different forms of life. That night, as Aria lay in her quarters unable to sleep, her thoughts kept drifting back to Zephyr. She found herself longing for the luminous touch, for the expansion of consciousness she experienced in their merged state. Was this merely scientific fascination or something more? A soft chime from her neural interface startled her from her reverie. It was Zephyr, reaching out through the station's communications system. Aria Novak. Zephyr's melodic voice resonated in her mind. I sense your wakefulness. Are you troubled? Aria smiled in the darkness of her room. No, not troubled. Just thinking about our interactions. About you. There was a pause before Zephyr responded. I too find my thoughts occupied by our exchanges. Your species' capacity for connection intrigues me greatly. I wish to understand more. Aria's heart raced. What do you want to understand, Zephyr? The physical manifestations of your emotions, Zephyr replied. The shivers that course through you when we touch, the acceleration of your heartbeat, the dilation of your pupils. These responses fascinate me. What do they mean to you, Aria Novak? Aria took a deep breath, her mind whirling with implications. How could she explain the complexity of human attraction and intimacy to an energy being? More importantly, should she? There are signs of excitement, Aria began cautiously. Of attraction. When humans are drawn to each other, whether intellectually, emotionally, or physically, our bodies respond in these ways. Zephyr's energy signature pulsed with interest. And are you drawn to me, Aria Novak? The question hung in the air, loaded with potential. Aria closed her eyes, acknowledging the truth she'd been trying to ignore. Yes, she whispered. I am. Then we must explore this attraction, Zephyr declared, its voice tinged with enthusiasm. For the sake of scientific understanding, of course. Aria couldn't help but laugh at the luminous eager response. Of course, she agreed, a mix of excitement and trepidation filling her. For science. As she drifted off to sleep, Aria's dreams were filled with swirling patterns of light and the warm, tingling sensation of Zephyr's touch. Tomorrow would bring new experiments, new discoveries, and perhaps a new understanding of the connection between human and lumina. Little did Aria know that their deepening bond was about to unlock secrets that would challenge the very fabric of reality itself. The containment chamber hummed with an electric tension as Aria and Zephyr prepared for their most ambitious experiment yet. Aria's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the sensors on her body, her anticipation palpable. Are you certain you wish to proceed? Zephyr's energy form pulsed with concern. The intensity of our last merger was significant. This deeper connection may have unforeseen consequences. Aria took a deep breath, steeling her resolve. I'm sure, Zephyr. We're on the verge of something revolutionary here. I can feel it. She stepped into the center of the room, surrounded by an array of monitoring equipment. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing her vital signs and brainwave patterns. Zephyr's energy field expanded, tendrils of light reaching out to envelop her. As their energies merged, Aria gasped. The sensation was far more intense than before, as if every atom of her being was resonating with Zephyr's essence. Colors she had no names for exploded behind her eyelids, and her consciousness expanded beyond the confines of her physical form. Suddenly, Aria found herself floating in a vast, star-filled void. But these weren't the stars she knew. They pulsed with life, each one a node in an immense cosmic network. She could feel the ebb and flow of energy between them, the rhythm of the universe itself. What is this place? Aria's voice echoed strangely in the void. Zephyr's presence enveloped her, a comforting warmth in the vastness of space. This is how we perceive reality, Aria. The interconnectedness of all things, the cosmic web that binds existence together. As Aria watched in awe, she began to notice patterns in the flow of energy. Streams of light connected distant stars, forming intricate geometric shapes that shifted and morphed. With a jolt of realization, she understood what she was seeing. These are alternate realities, she breathed, her mind reeling at the implications. Yes, Zephyr confirmed. What you call the multiverse, infinite possibilities, all existing simultaneously. Aria's scientific mind raced to process this information. But how are we perceiving this? How is this possible? Your consciousness, merged with mine, has transcended the limitations of your physical form, Zephyr explained. You are experiencing reality as we Lumina do, as a unified field of energy and information. As they floated in the cosmic web, Aria noticed one particular stream of energy that seemed to pulse in sync with her own thoughts. Curious, she focused on it, and suddenly found herself pulled into a swirling vortex of light. When the light faded, Aria found herself standing in a familiar place, the Nexus station, but it was different. The technology was more advanced, the design sleeker. And there, working at a console, was herself. Is this the future? Aria asked, her voice trembling. A possible future, Zephyr corrected. One of many potential timelines branching from this moment. Aria watched in fascination as her future self worked, noting the confidence in her movements, the look of determination on her face. On a nearby screen, she could see images of Earth, but it was changed. Great crystalline structures jutted from the surface, pulsing with energy. We did it, Aria whispered, understanding dawning. We found a way to merge human and Lumina technology. Before she could explore further, the scene shifted again. This time, Aria found herself in a barren wasteland, the ruins of the Nexus station scattered around her. The sky was dark, roiling with ominous energy. And this, she asked, though she feared she already knew the answer. Another possibility, Zephyr said solemnly. The result of our energies combining in ways we do not yet understand. The gravity of their situation hit Aria like a physical blow. Their experiments weren't just pushing the boundaries of science, they were potentially altering the fabric of reality itself. With a gasp, Aria found herself back in the containment chamber, her body drenched in sweat. Alarms blared as the monitoring equipment struggled to process the data from their merger. Dr. Marcus Rees burst into the room, his face pale with shock. Aria, what the hell happened? We're detecting quantum fluctuations throughout the entire station. Aria struggled to her feet, her mind still reeling from the experience. Marcus, you won't believe what we discovered. We've seen the multiverse. Our consciousness, when merged with the Lumina, can perceive and potentially interact with alternate realities. Marcus's eyes widened in disbelief. That's impossible. The energy required to breach dimensional barriers is exactly what the Lumina are, Aria finished for him. They exist as pure energy, unbound by the limitations of physical form, and when we connect with them, we can transcend those limitations too. As the implications of their discovery sank in, the excitement in the room was palpable. The potential applications were staggering, from solving complex scientific problems by observing alternate timelines to potentially averting global catastrophes by learning from parallel worlds. But with that excitement came a gnawing sense of unease. The vision of the devastating future lingered in Aria's mind, a stark reminder of the risks they were taking. Over the next few days, Aria and Zephyr worked tirelessly to document and analyze their shared experiences. They developed new theories about the nature of consciousness, the structure of the multiverse, and the potential for cross-dimensional communication. Their findings sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Some hailed it as the greatest discovery in human history, while others warned of the dangers of meddling with forces beyond their comprehension. As the debate raged on, Aria found herself at the center of a storm of controversy. But through it all, her bond with Zephyr only grew stronger. Their shared experiences had created a connection that transcended species, a union of minds that defied conventional understanding. One night, as they stood together in the containment chamber, Zephyr's energy field gently enveloping Aria, the Lumina spoke with a solemnity that sent shivers down her spine. Aria Novak, Zephyr began, "What we have discovered, it changes everything. The boundaries between our species, between all species in the universe, are more permeable than we ever imagined. We stand at a crossroads of cosmic significance." Aria nodded, feeling the weight of their discovery. "I know. The potential for growth, for understanding, is immense, but so are the risks." Zephyr's form pulsed in agreement. "Indeed, we must proceed with great care. The future of both our species, perhaps of all species, may depend on how we navigate this new frontier." As Aria gazed into the swirling patterns of Zephyr's energy field, she felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. They had unlocked secrets of the universe that humanity had only dreamed of, but with that knowledge came great responsibility. What they did next would shape not just their own future, but potentially the futures of countless realities across the multiverse. As the Nexus station hummed around them, Aria and Zephyr stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in their exploration of the cosmic web that bound all of existence together. The once pristine corridors of Nexus Station now thrummed with an undercurrent of nervous energy. Crew members spoke in hushed tones, casting wary glances at the containment chamber that housed Zephyr. The excitement of scientific discovery had given way to a growing sense of unease as unexplained phenomena continued to plague the station. Aria strode purposefully through the main research lab, her face set in determination. She'd spent the last few days poring over data from her latest merger with Zephyr, searching for patterns that might explain the strange occurrences. As she entered, she found Dr. Marcus Reeves hunched over a console, dark circles under his eyes betraying his lack of sleep. "Any luck pinpointing the source of the power fluctuations?" Aria asked, peering over his shoulder at the scrolling data. Marcus rubbed his temples, sighing heavily. "Nothing concrete. But look at this." He pulled up a holographic display showing a 3D model of the station. Pulsing red dots indicated areas of unusual energy readings. The anomalies are spreading area, and they seem to be concentrated around the containment chamber. Aria's heart sank. She'd feared as much, but seeing the evidence laid out so starkly was troubling. "It has to be related to our experiments with dimensional perception," she mused. "Maybe residual energy from our consciousness crossing realities." "Or maybe," Marcus said, his voice tight, "we're dealing with something far more dangerous than we realized." "Aria, I've been going over your notes from the merged states. The potential for catastrophic consequences, it's staggering." Before Aria could respond, alarms blared throughout the lab. Red emergency lights bathed the room in an eerie glow as panicked voices erupted over the comm system. "Medical emergency in Sector 7. We need assistance immediately." Aria and Marcus exchanged alarmed glances before sprinting towards the turbolift. When they arrived at Sector 7, they found a scene of chaos. A young technician lay on the floor, his body convulsing as strange patterns of light danced across his skin. Dr. Lyra Sato, the station's chief medical officer, knelt beside him, her face pale with shock. "I've never seen anything like this," she said as Aria and Marcus approached. "It's as if his cellular structure is shifting somehow." Aria's blood ran cold as she recognized the patterns of light. They were eerily similar to the energy signatures she'd observed in the cosmic web during her mergers with Zephyr. "This is impossible," she whispered, "unless—" Her thoughts were interrupted as Admiral Victor Volkov's stern voice came over the station-wide comm. "All senior staff report to the command center immediately. This is not a drill." The command center was a flurry of activity when they arrived. Admiral Volkov stood at the center, his craggy face set in grim lines as he surveyed holographic displays of the station's systems. "Dr. Novak," he said, fixing Aria with a steely gaze, "would you care to explain why members of my crew are experiencing spontaneous quantum flux?" Aria swallowed hard, feeling the weight of every eye in the room upon her. "Admiral, I believe these incidents are connected to our research with the Lumina. Our experiments in dimensional perception seem to have had unforeseen consequences." A murmur of unease rippled through the assembled staff. Admiral Volkov's frown deepened. "Unforeseen consequences? Doctor, you assured me that your work with the alien was under control." "It was. It is," Aria insisted, even as doubt gnawed at her. "But we're dealing with forces we barely understand. The Lumina exist as pure energy, unbound by our physical laws. Our interactions with them are having effects we couldn't have predicted." Marcus stepped forward, his face grave. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the data. The energy anomalies are growing exponentially. If this continues, we could be looking at a cascade failure of all systems within 48 hours. The room erupted in a chorus of alarmed voices. Admiral Volkov raised a hand, silencing the chatter. "Options, people. I need options." Dr. Saito spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. "We could evacuate the station, send out a distress call to Earth, and risk spreading whatever this is to the rest of humanity." "Absolutely not," Volkov growled. His eyes locked onto Aria. "Dr. Novak, you started this. How do we stop it?" Aria's mind raced, considering and discarding possibilities. Finally, she took a deep breath. "I need to speak with Zephyr. If anyone understands what's happening, it's the Lumina." Volkov's eyes narrowed. "And if this alien is the source of our problems, if this is some kind of attack—" "With all due respect, Admiral," Aria said, straightening her spine, "if Zephyr wanted to harm us, it could have done so long ago. The Luminous power is beyond anything we can comprehend. Our only hope is to work with them, not against them." A tense silence fell over the room as Volkov considered her words. Finally, he gave a curt nod. "You have 1 hour, Doctor. After that, I'm initiating emergency protocols. And if that doesn't work—" He let the threat hang in the air, unspoken but clear. As Aria hurried towards the containment chamber, her mind whirled with possibilities and fears. Had their experiments truly unleashed forces beyond their control? Was the growing connection between human and Lumina consciousness somehow destabilizing the very fabric of their reality? She entered the chamber to find Zephyr's energy form pulsing erratically, patterns of light shifting in ways she'd never seen before. "Zephyr," she called out, her voice thick with concern. "Something's wrong. The station, the crew, they're being affected by our experiments. We need your help." Zephyr's translated voice seemed strained, distorted. "Aria Novak, the boundaries between realities, they grow thin. Our connection, it reverberates across dimensions. I fear we may have gone too far." Aria's heart raced as the implications sank in. Their explorations of the multiverse hadn't just been passive observations. They'd been actively influencing the cosmic web, causing ripples that threatened to tear apart the very fabric of their universe. "How do we stop it?" Aria pleaded, stepping closer to the shimmering energy field. "There has to be a way to stabilize things, to close the dimensional rifts we've opened." Zephyr's form contracted, condensing into a tight ball of pulsing light. "There is a way, but the cost, Aria Novak, the cost may be greater than you are willing to pay." As alarms blared throughout the station and the deck beneath her feet trembled with growing instability, Aria steeled herself for whatever revelation was to come. "Tell me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Whatever it takes, Zephyr, we have to make this right." The air in the chamber grew thick with tension as Zephyr prepared to unveil a solution that would test the limits of Aria's dedication to science, to humanity, and to the unprecedented bond she'd formed with a being from beyond the stars. The containment chamber crackled with energy as Zephyr's form expanded, enveloping Aria in a cocoon of shimmering light. The luminous voice resonated directly in her mind, bypassing the need for translation. Aria Novak, to stabilize the dimensional rifts, we must merge our consciousnesses completely. Not just a temporary union, but a permanent fusion of human and lumina. Aria's breath caught in her throat as the implications sank in. You mean, I'd cease to exist as an individual, become part of you? And I of you, Zephyr replied, its tone tinged with what Aria could only interpret as sadness. We would become something new, something never before seen in the universe. A bridge between realities, capable of maintaining the cosmic balance we have inadvertently disrupted. The enormity of the choice before her made Aria's head spin. To save the station, to protect reality itself, she would have to sacrifice her very identity. Everything she was, everything she hoped to be, would be transformed into something beyond human comprehension. Before she could respond, the station shuddered violently. Aria stumbled, bracing herself against a console as warning klaxons blared. Admiral Volkov's voice crackled over the intercom, tense and urgent. Dr. Novak, we're detecting massive energy spikes throughout the station. Whatever you're going to do it now. We're running out of time. Aria closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face as she grappled with the decision before her. Her life's work, her dreams of scientific discovery, her hopes for the future, all of it paled in comparison to the fate that hung in the balance. If we do this, she asked Zephyr, her voice barely a whisper, will it truly save everyone? Zephyr's energy pulsed warmly around her. It will stabilize this reality and seal the rifts we have opened. But Aria, you must understand, there will be no going back. The being we become will be neither fully human nor fully lumina. We will exist between worlds, guardians of the cosmic web. Another violent tremor shook the station. In the distance, Aria heard the screech of tearing metal. Time was running out. With a deep breath, she made her decision. Okay, she said, her voice growing stronger with resolve. Let's do it. For the sake of both our species, for the stability of reality itself, I'm ready. Zephyr's energy field brightened, tendrils of light reaching out to intertwine with Aria's very being. Your courage honors me, Aria Novak. Together, we will forge a new path for all sentient life. As their consciousnesses began to merge, Aria felt her perception expanding exponentially. She saw the fabric of reality laid bare before her, the infinite strands of the multiverse stretching out in all directions. She understood, in that moment, the true nature of existence, not as separate realities, but as one interconnected whole. The process was both excruciatingly painful and indescribably beautiful. Aria felt her physical form dissolving, her consciousness expanding to fill the voids between dimensions. Zephyr's knowledge and experiences flooded her mind, merging with her own in a symphony of shared existence. In the command center, Admiral Volkov and the senior staff watched in awe as the containment chamber erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy. The holographic displays showing the station's systems began to stabilize, the warnings of imminent collapse fading away. Dr. Marcus Rees stared his readings in disbelief. The dimensional rifts, they're closing. Whatever Aria and the Lumina are doing, it's working. As the light in the containment chamber faded, the staff rushed to investigate. What they found defied explanation. Where Aria and Zephyr had been, there now floated a being of pure energy, neither human nor lumina, but something entirely new. The being's voice echoed in the minds of all present, a harmonic blend of Aria's familiar tones and Zephyr's ethereal resonance. The crisis has been averted. The balance has been restored. Admiral Volkov stepped forward, his usual stern demeanor replaced by open wonder. Aria, are you still in there? The energy being pulsed gently. We are Aria and Zephyr, and we are something more. We exist now as guardians of the cosmic web, preserving the balance between realities. Dr. Sato approached cautiously, her medical tricorder wearing as she scanned the entity. "This is incredible," she breathed. "The readings suggest a complete fusion of human and luminous energy patterns. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." As the crew marveled at the transformed being before them, Marcus stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. "Aria, Zephyr, what happens now? What does this mean for our research, for the future of human-luminous relations?" The being's form shimmered, creating patterns of light that danced across the chamber. "Our transformation marks the beginning of a new era. The barriers between species, between dimensions, are more permeable than ever imagined. But with this knowledge comes great responsibility." The entity that was once Aria and Zephyr began to explain the true nature of reality as they now perceived it, the delicate balance of the multiverse, the potential for communication and collaboration across dimensions, and the risks of uncontrolled interdimensional interference. As the gravity of the situation sank in, Admiral Volkov straightened his uniform, his military bearing reasserting itself. "I'll need to report this to Earth Command immediately. This changes everything. Our understanding of the universe, our place in it. The energy being pulsed in agreement. Indeed. But remember, Admiral, with great knowledge comes great responsibility. Humanity stands at a crossroads. The choices you make now will shape the future of not just your species, but of all sentient life across the multiverse." As the command staff grappled with the implications of these revelations, the being that was once Aria and Zephyr began to fade from view. "We must go now," their combined voice echoed. "There is much work to be done to maintain the cosmic balance, but we will return when needed. The bridge between human and lumina, between all realities, has been forged. Use it wisely." With a final pulse of radiant energy, the entity vanished, leaving the crew of Nexus Station to contemplate the dawning of a new age, an age of unprecedented discovery, of cosmic responsibility, and of challenges beyond anything humanity had ever faced before. As the stars twinkled in the void beyond the station's viewports, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what this new chapter in the cosmic story would bring. In the months following the crisis on Nexus Station, Earth and its colonies buzzed with activity. The revelation of the cosmic web and humanity's new place within it had sparked a renaissance in scientific, philosophical, and spiritual thought. Dr. Marcus Rees stood before a packed auditorium at the United Earth Space Academy, his holographic presentation showing intricate models of the multiverse. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice carrying the weight of one who had witnessed history, "what we once thought of as the barrier between dimensions is more akin to a permeable membrane. Thanks to the sacrifice and transformation of Dr. Aria Novak and the Lumina being known as Zephyr, we now understand that all realities are interconnected." The audience, a mix of eager students and seasoned scientists, hung on his every word. Marcus continued, "But with this knowledge comes great responsibility. Our actions ripple across the cosmic web, affecting realities beyond our own. We must proceed with caution and wisdom as we explore these new frontiers." As Marcus fielded questions from the audience, a shimmering distortion appeared at the back of the auditorium. The crowd gasped as the merged being of Aria Zephyr materialized, its energy form pulsing gently. "Greetings, Dr. Rees." The harmonic voice resonated in everyone's minds. We sensed that it was time to return to guide humanity's next steps. Marcus smiled, a mix of joy and sadness crossing his face as he regarded his transformed colleague and friend. "Aria, Zephyr, it's good to see you. Both of you. How goes your work as guardians of the cosmic web?" The being's form shifted, creating patterns that seemed to reflect the structure of the multiverse itself. "Our task is endless, yet deeply fulfilling. We have seen wonders beyond imagination and faced challenges that test the very fabric of existence. But we have not forgotten our roots, nor our responsibility to guide humanity." Over the next few hours, Aria Zephyr shared insights that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. They spoke of civilizations that existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously, of beings composed of pure thought, and of cosmic phenomena that defied conventional physics. But with each revelation came a warning. The multiverse is vast and full of wonders, Aries FA cautioned, but it is also fraught with dangers. There are forces that would seek to exploit the connections between realities, to drain the energy of entire universes for their own gain. The audience listened in rapt attention as Aries FA outlined a path forward for humanity, a careful, measured approach to multidimensional exploration and communication. They proposed the creation of a new organization, the Cosmic Web Initiative, to oversee humanity's ventures into the greater multiverse. As the presentation concluded, a young cadet raised her hand, her eyes shining with a mix of awe and determination. "After everything you've shared with us," she asked, "what do you believe is humanity's role in the cosmic web?" Aries FA's form brightened, and those present could almost feel the smile in their combined voice. Humanity's greatest strength has always been its capacity for empathy, for forging connections across boundaries. In the vastness of the multiverse, this gift becomes more precious than ever. The being continued, "Your role, should you choose to accept it, is to become bridges, not just between dimensions, but between species, between ways of thinking and being that may seem utterly alien at first. You have the potential to be mediators, peacekeepers, and innovators on a cosmic scale." As Aries FA's words sank in, a palpable sense of purpose filled the auditorium. The path ahead would not be easy, but it held the promise of a future grander and more interconnected than anyone had ever dreamed possible. In the days and weeks that followed, humanity began to take its first tentative steps into its new role in the cosmic web. Research into safe methods of interdimensional communication accelerated, with strict ethical guidelines put in place to prevent unintended consequences. The Cosmic Web Initiative, headquartered on Nexus Station, became a beacon for the brightest minds across Earth and its colonies. Teams of scientists, philosophers, and diplomats worked tirelessly to prepare humanity for encounters with new forms of life and consciousness. Aries FA's visits, though infrequent, always brought new insights and challenges. They spoke of looming threats to the stability of the multiverse, of ancient beings awakening in the spaces between realities, and of the crucial role humanity could play in maintaining cosmic harmony. As Earth's first official interdimensional embassy prepared to open, a monumental structure designed to exist partially in multiple realities, Marcus found himself standing once again with Aries FA, gazing out at the stars from Nexus Station's observation deck. "Do you ever regret it?" Marcus asked softly, the question he'd held back for so long finally slipping out. "The sacrifice you made." The energy being pulsed warmly. "Regret implies a singular perspective, old friend. We are both Aria and Zephyr, and so much more. What was lost in individuality has been gained in understanding and purpose. Our existence now is beyond what either of us could have imagined, and the work we do echoes across realities." Marcus nodded, a bittersweet smile on his face. "I miss her, you, sometimes. But seeing all that's been accomplished, all that's yet to come, I think Aria would be proud." "As are we," Aries FA replied, their forms shimmering with emotion. "A view of humanity, of all that has been achieved. Remember, Marcus, this is not an ending, but a beginning. The greatest adventure in human history is just unfolding." As they stood there, human and transformed being, the vast expanse of space seemed alive with possibility. The stars twinkled not just with distant light, but with the promise of new connections, new understandings, and a future where the boundaries between realities were just another frontier to explore. In that moment, on the precipice of a new cosmic age, humanity looked to the multiverse not with fear, but with hope, wonder, and an unshakable determination to forge a path of wisdom and empathy across the infinite tapestry of existence. The cosmic web awaited, and humanity was ready to take its place among the strands.